And now the final part of our Salon Prive roundup. A recurring theme in many of this year's car events has been the 75th anniversary of possibly the world's greatest car brand, Ferrari. And Blenheim Palace's Salon Prive Concours d'Elegance was no exception. With a display of some of the most spectacular cars ever to wear the prancing horse, it was impossible not to stop and pore over each and every one. In the interests of run times and indeed your sanity, we'll spare you the in-depth lectures and instead touch on some of our favourites, starting with something a little unusual. This unique 250 GT Spyder Competizione. There are, of course, loads of different versions of the 250, but this Pininfarina-bodied roadster is known as the Cafe Racer, thanks to its bespoke frameless windscreen, a removable driver's head restraint, and the metal tonneau over the passenger seat. Other 250s included this stunning right-hand drive California Spyder and a remarkable GT short wheelbase. Perhaps the headline car, though, was the most iconic 250 of them all, the GTO. Famously one of the world's most valuable cars, GTOs are revered for their on-track performance, but we'd argue it's just as impressive seeing one in the Duke of Marlborough's back garden. This particular example is the second one Ferrari built and played an important role in the model's success in its use as a development car. Countless more Ferrari highlights included a gorgeous LaFerrari, the hybrid hypercar from the 2010s, and a striking 365p.
But it wasn't just Italian exotica that caught our eye. A row of beautiful old Citroëns was a pleasant surprise, especially the one-of-one SM Espace. Crafted by commercial coach builders Hurlier, this unique SM features an incredible retractable roof that folds into itself. It may not seem that impressive in 2022, but in 1971, this was space-age stuff. Debuting at the Paris Motor Show, the Espace wowed crowds with its marvellous roof and luxurious leather and green suede interior. Sadly, Citroën wasn't interested and it never made it into production. But that didn't stop it from winning its class in the concours competition.
But if a futuristic 70s Citroën isn't your cup of tea or indeed your glass of bubbly, take a look at this. It's called the Engler Desat Superquad, and it's quite possibly the maddest machine we've ever featured. In a world where billionaires are spoilt for choice with supercars and hypercars, surely what they need is an 1100 bhp quad bike. Yes, you heard correctly, 1100 horsepower. Designed for smooth tarmac rather than farmyards, this quad bike uses the V10 from an Audi R8 to create just about the most dangerous vehicle we can possibly imagine. Built in Slovakia, the Superquad is capable of 0 to 62 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds, onto a worrying top speed of 217.
Other new cars on display included two new V6 supercars, the 296 from Ferrari and the Artura from McLaren. Rolls-Royce brought along its updated Phantom, and startup company Viritech displayed a model of its new hydrogen hypercar, the 1000 brake horsepower Apricale. The zero-emission fuel cell vehicle uses F1 tech and know-how, while the body was penned by Pininfarina.
Linking the modern hypercars with the vintage Tourers was the fabulous Nardone 928, a resto mod of the iconic front-engine Porsche priced at just under €500,000. Nardone took a 928 S4 and gave it a bit of a nip and tuck to create a retro-futurist Grand Tourer that looks like it came straight out of a video game. Changes to the bodywork are remarkably subtle but make a big difference, giving the car a squat, muscular appearance. The interior has been thoroughly modernised, but it still retains an 80s vibe. The original Porsche V8 is tuned to a modest 400 bhp, as Nardone believes that is quite enough, more of a modern Grand Tourer.
We could go on and on about the priceless classics on display, like this stunning Rolls-Royce Phantom 2, or even historic rally cars like Colin McRae's old Impreza, but we'll leave you with something perhaps even more impressive. It wasn't built by great historic coach builders, and you won't find a high-revving Italian V12 under the bonnet. This is the McMurtry Spearling, one of the most fascinating cars of 2022. It weighs in at under a ton, produces 1,000 brake horsepower, and with an electric motor on each wheel, it's capable of acceleration the likes of which you won't believe. Its sub 2-second 0 to 62 time is impressive, but it will do 0 to 186 in 9 seconds, which is downright absurd. It even has a fan sucking it to the road, while the slippery aero means it'll get 300 miles on a charge. Perhaps the maddest thing, though, is the fact it's road legal. The production version is unlikely to be quite so extreme, but we should find out in 2023.